of encomiums on federal government as Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, reopens.
President Buhari directs head of the civil service to ensure full implementation of the 2017-2019 strategy plan.
Troops of Operation Lafia Dole neutralized 21 Boko Haram terrorists, rescued over 1,600 residents in Borno State.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we will be focusing on reopening of Abuja International Airport.
All right, it seems just like yesterday, Nigerians were engaged in heated debate on the closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport for 6 weeks. And we're on with almost everyone having an opinion depending on their conviction.
Yes, it's been 6 weeks. And yes, Claire, the closure, rehabilitation and relocation of flight operations from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to Kaduna International Airport have come and gone, signaling a major event in the history of aviation in the country.
Indeed, Kieran, very, very heart-warming to observe that this government has lived up to its promise to get the job done, and that's within the specified time frame, and of course has equally delivered on providing key facilities at the airport, security, logistics as well, which has led to the attainment of the set objective without any major incident worth citing as an impediment. What noting?
Exactly, and the seamless transition allayed all the fears, and the Kaduna International Airport assumed the responsibility conveniently and efficiently, handling 100 flights daily.
Indeed, and of course apprehension easily gave way to confidence as government walked the talk by ensuring that all the concerned agencies kept working according to plans.
And of course, the bi-week update on the progress of rehabilitation work on the 3.6 kilometer and the commitment of all concerned has become a reference point in the country.
Indeed, now, just to sum up for your information, a total of over 3,950 movements of aircraft were recorded and 198,192 passengers were also recorded within the 40-day period from Thursday, 9th of March, 2017 to Monday, 17th of April, 2017 at the Kaduna International Airport.
And the records show that the daily aircraft movement was 99 sorties, while passenger movement was 4,955 daily. 8 domestic and 1 international airlines operated during the period without hitches.
All right, now here is the big news and the good news. Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, has resumed operations, and that's after a successful rehabilitation of the runway. It's a feat that has not only earned the Nigerian government local and international accolades, but also improved the safety rating of the airport, thereby giving more airlines confidence to fly the route. Kieran.
Exactly. And what does the timely airport rehabilitation speak of Nigeria's ability to plan and execute? How will this impact on the sector? What should now be the focus of government in the aviation industry? What lessons have the country learned from the process?
All right, now those are some of the questions that, of course, we will be asking resulting from the reopening of the Abuja International Airport today on Good Morning Nigeria. Of course, it's broadcast live right here from our network studio of the Nigerian Television Authority in Abuja, the nation's capital. We'll also have the essay that's, of course, to the President, Femi Adesina, would also be here with us this morning, and he'll be speaking to matters of national interest. I am Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. As always, The pleasure is always ours having you join us.
And I am Kirian Umayo, joining Claire to welcome you to this midweek edition, which promises to be as exciting as ever. Don't forget that we also have the newspaper review, business, sports, foreign, entertainment news, and even the weather outlook for the rest of the day.
Indeed. Time now to go over to our newsroom, and Lydia Barsi is, of course, in all her radiance, waiting to take the news. Lydia, good morning.
Good morning, Claire. Welcome to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International has officially reopened for flight operations this Tuesday ahead of Wednesday initially slated. As Ethiopian airline landed at about 12:15 p.m., Emmanuel Anyimiro reports that the 343-passenger aircraft arrived at Abuja Airport with 265 passengers from Addis Ababa.
Towards the standard, it was very good. We didn't find anything that was out of ordinary. It was perfect.
I was coming from London to Ethiopia and then onwards here. It was smooth. I thought we were going to land in Kaduna, but then I was amazed when I saw on the screen that we're coming to Abuja.
April 19th was the due date for us to conclude and open the airport based on our program of work. And then that is not saying that we cannot open earlier. We were able to deliver the project earlier than anticipated, and then we can open it. There is nothing wrong with opening it a day earlier.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has commended the efforts of the Ministries of Transport, Power, Works and Housing, the security agencies, Kaduna State Government, and the contractor on the successful completion of the work on the runway and reopening of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, 24 hours ahead of the time limit. The president, in a statement by his special advisor, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said that he looked forward to such display of interagency cooperation and efficiency in the operation of the entire federal government machinery. President Buhari also thanked Ethiopian Airlines for cooperating with the Nigerian government during the period of the closure of Abuja Airport, describing it as a good example of intra-African cooperation. Also, with the opening of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, after 6 weeks of repairs, the Muslim Media Watch Group of Nigeria has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the success achieved in this venture, especially the completion of renovation within record time. While applauding the administration's efforts, the group, however, points out that the construction of the second runway of the airport should be given the highest priority to avoid a repeat of disruption that the airport witnessed due to lack of a second runway. On the issue of revelations and discoveries of looted funds in the last 1 month, the Muslim Media Watch Group of Nigeria joins patriotic citizens to commend the federal government on the whistleblowing policy, as it has opened cans of worms that had earlier been buried. The group, however, noted that this is going to be a disservice to the nation if the identities of the culprits of those that stole monies continue to be hidden. The group also urged the federal government not to delay in proposing areas deserving amendments in the Constitution to enable the National Assembly complete its job. On the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, calling for the postponement of the national census scheduled for next year, the Muslim Media Watch Group of Nigeria disagrees, noting that the census was being postponed too frequently. Security operatives say they are leaving nothing to chance in securing lives and the airport complex. This came to the fore during a safety check conducted by the military and police before the inaugural flight after 6 weeks of closure of the Abuja International Airport.
A lot of things must have been left behind, whether intentionally or not, that we are not aware of. So the essence of the sweeping is to discover these things and ensure that the area, the whole airport, is actually sterilized.
You might not have known who must have been around when we are working. You know, a lot of different sort of workers available at the airport, at different sites. So this is the best period before the operations of flights into the airport. We sweep every corner of the airport.
President Mohammed Muhammadu Buhari has directed the head of the Civil Service of the Federation to ensure that the 2017 to 2019 strategy plan is fully implemented towards improving the efficiency, integrity, and welfare of civil servants. This was when he granted audience to the head of the Civil Service, Winifred Oyeta, in continuation of his strategic engagement for good governance and effective service delivery. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president also met with the Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo.
An update on the Federal Integrated Staff Housing Program, which, as you know, is a subset of Mr. President's National Housing Policy, which is so dear to his heart. So His Excellency is quite satisfied with our efforts. He would want to be kept abreast regularly on what were our processes so far to develop an efficient, productive, incorruptible, and citizen-centered civil service.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says Nigeria will use the 59th meeting of the United Nations World Tourism Organization Commission for Africa high-level meeting to fine-tune the country's culture and tourism master plan for sustainable economic growth. The minister stated this on arrival in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital.
At the meeting in Aviation last year, Nigeria got itself invited to Madrid, which is the headquarters of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. And at that meeting, we met with the executive of the UNWTO, and it was a meeting, a session which was dedicated exclusively to hear Nigeria's challenges. And at the end of the meeting, the two parties arrived at conclusions and make recommendations.
In its quest to ensuring national security, the National Defense College Abuja is partnering the National Commission for Colleges of Education in stemming violent extremism, kidnapping, and terrorism in tertiary institutions. A seminar by both bodies is suggesting policy recommendations for the safety of campuses that could be recruitment grounds.
Cases of ISIS recruitment on campuses in Turkey, Pakistan, Malaysia, and other countries in Southeast Asia, as some people are brainwashed and deceived by religious fanatics to take up arms as a way of performing the will of God.
The effects of the insurgency and other vices that led to the establishment of internally displaced camps has brought bitter experiences that make it necessary to further orient our youth and disabuse their minds from enlisting into such vices in future.
That is the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Claire and Kieran after this break. Don't go away.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
School is girls' school, exclusively meant for girls, empowerment of girls for a better living.
We have the chemistry lab, the biology lab, the agriculture lab, the physics lab. We have the library, we have the administrative block, where the registrations and some school activities.
I've had the opportunity to go for conferences, main seminars, which In my former school, I didn't have that privilege. But we attend the school doesn't just mean you go there to read and write. You also get informal education that will help you later in life. As they say, good girls today, better mothers tomorrow.
This is the new Imo State, where education is free. The Imo Rescue Mission. Imo must be better.
To the outer framers, the hat tippers, the fringe goers, you don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes caused by oil, dirt, and germs, giving your skin a healthy feel for an even better you. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Dettol soap is now also available for 100 Naira only.
All right, if you've just joined us, this is Good Morning Nigeria from the network service of the NTA. And it's time now, of course, to go on to the business news on Good Morning Nigeria. And in the package, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, disburses $280 million to SMEs, BDCs, and invisibles. And also, Nigeria gets $150 million for the mining sector. Joy Uzo will tell us more.
It's good to have you join us for an update in the business world. The Central Bank of Nigeria on Tuesday underscored its determination to sustain liquidity in the foreign exchange market with the injection of $280 million into various sectors of the market and the commencement of its weekly $20,000 sale to licensed Bureau de Change. It also further announced the opening of bids for offering $100 million 7 to 45 days forwards through the Deposit Money Bank. A breakdown of the intervention shows that invisibles such as basic travel allowance, personal travel allowance, medical bill and tuition received $80 million, while the small and medium enterprises SMEs window received $100 million, together with the wholesale bid auction. The bank on Tuesday sold $280 million into the market. The bank spokesman Isaac Okarafor confirmed the releases, disclosing that the new window for SMEs would no doubt boost the business of SMEs through the importation of eligible finished and semi-finished items, thereby boosting forex supply to the retail business segment of the market. The World Bank's board has approved a $150 million credit to enhance the contribution of the mining sector to the local economy. The project will help establish a strong foundation for mining sector development and enhance competitiveness by improving information infrastructure and knowledge strengthening of key government institutions and fostering domestic investment in the sector. World Bank Country Director for Nigeria, Rashid Ben Massaud, said Nigeria has a favorable geological potential that, if adequately assessed, well exploited and sustainably managed, could support broader economic growth through mineral sector. Nigeria has been unable to attract significant investment in exploration and mining into the sector, and current productivity from the Nigerian mining sector is still insufficient to meet local demands, particularly for industrial minerals. Minister of Mines and Steel, Kayode Fayemi, in a presentation recently in Abuja, said the facility will help develop measures for formalizing, regulating, and inventorying artisanal and small-scale mining, facilitate the flow of mineral transactions, as well as facilitate access to finance, technology, and equipment.
It is worthy to note that a sustainable and well-governed mining sector certainly has the capacity to garner resources for national development, to create capacity for downstream value addition, to create capacity for upstream value addition, to create potential for job opportunities and entrepreneurship through the development of artisanal and small-scale mining.
It will also increase knowledge, support the mining and processing of the minerals in accordance with best practices, not excluding regards to environmental and social protections. The NSE All-Share Index dips by 1.19% as market opens the week negative. Next is a graphic summary of the trading figures on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. much we can take for now on the business segment of the program. Thanks for watching.
All right, thank you very much, Joy, for that report. Next on Good Morning Nigeria is newspaper review.
Right, and what can we not do, or what can we do without Bayo Tobe? Bayo, good to have you once again.
Thank you, Claire. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Tobe. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, let's quickly start off the newspaper review with a look at the front page of the New Telegraph. And New Telegraph has the story, 15 billion naira recovery. EFCC searches Lagos apartments, and it comes with 2 riders. Ex-Governor Obi confirms search of his residence, and NIA directors in marathon meeting. Details of those stories you can find on page 2. And just before I come down to the picture of the day, let's quickly take a look at the trending stories, just a little below the nameplate. Minister rules out early rescue of Chibok girls. It's there. You'll see the Danali. The details of that story, it's on page 6. And Kalu woos Southeast for APC, visits church leaders, also on page 6. Now, NGE inaugurates electoral committee for biennial convention. It's on page 2. And professor lecturers arrested for cultism. And that's coming from, you see the Inspector General of Police right there. That story you can find on page 8. Now, the story above the nameplate, normal flights, operations resume as Abuja airport reopens. It has a rider. Foreign domestic airlines return to FCT, and Buhari hails airports reopening. Now, that's the picture of the day on the front page of the New Telegraph. And incidentally, that's the only paper I have that, of course, has that picture. And that's the Ethiopian Airways, the Airbus A350. That's the first aircraft that landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, after the reopening of the airport runway on Tuesday. Now, that was exactly at noon on Tuesday. Okay, let me quickly take this last story from the front page. $1.3 billion deal. Shibajo Abacha after me. That's from Adoke. Ex-minister reveals how he stopped Buhari and Tinubu's trial. This story is on page 3.
All right, I have the pilot just above the nameplate. There is End Southern Kaduna Killings Now, CAN. That's a Christian Association of Nigeria. The story is on page 4 of the pilot. And then besides that, you see Justice Nguta failed to declare plots of land, so says the federal government. The story is on page 4. And of course, the headlines, Defense Minister, rescuing Chibok girls may take years. That story is on page 12, a very sensitive one too. And then below the pictures, on the pilot, we have Reverend King, others for execution. These are people who have been on the death row for a long period of time. And the story is on page 6. Now, below all that, we have Ethiopian Airline lands, just as Claire did mention here. And then close by, you have assassination attempt. I have nothing to say. Kogi governor tells Dino Melaye. And going further right, APC may lose Kaduna in 2019, says Sani. And Governor Umahi, we will negotiate for presidency in 2019. These are some hot stories you can find on the Nigerian pilot. Maybe Bayo will come in here for some topical issues, on today's papers.
Yes, I think the top of them all is the Ethiopian Airlines confidence in Nigerian airspace. It was also given the honor of receiving a shower welcome as the first aircraft to land at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. In fact, not only is the airport ready 24 hours before its deadline, the facilities in the airport have also been accorded some makeover. So now passengers using the airport are now going to have a better enhanced airport. Like it's often said, the palace of the king that was born has gotten an enhanced beauty. That is what is happening there. However, President Muhammad Buhari has commended the interagency cooperation between the Ministry of Transport, Power, Housing, and other security agencies. He has enjoined them to carry such cooperation and efficiency in doing other works of the federal government. He thanked the Ethiopia Airlines for the inter-African cooperation. Now, talking about the other story about Minister of Defense, Mansour Dan Ali, he was giving an opinion on the state and search of the Chibok girls. He said the military have searched everywhere they know, and they have not given up and will continue to search. However, he said that because it has passed 3 years and the girls have not been found, people should not give up, and the army also has not given up. He added, however, drawing the parallel, that it took the United States between 7 to 10 years before they were able to discover Osama bin Laden. Therefore, the hope is not lost, but the army will continue to. But that is not good news for the parents of the Chibok girls, who also made frantic efforts to visit the presidency to register their anxiety and protest after 3 years.
All right, Bayo, the other big story, you know, the airport, again, like I said, it's just a new telegraph that, you know, has shots of that. Is it that it's of less importance to...
Which one is that?
That's the new telegraph.
The new telegraph.
The airport.
Yes, that was what we highlighted on the shower welcome.
Leadership also has
leadership also has it. Usually in aviation, the shower welcome is a ceremonial salute to an aircraft, and Ethiopia Airlines accorded that honor. But one irony of it all is that the airlines, international airlines, that shunned going to Kaduna are now lamenting because they are reported to have lost millions.
Indeed.
For not taking the opportunity.
Indeed.
To
That is on the front page of Daily Trust.
Yes.
Just a little below the nameplate. Foreign airlines lost billions for shunning Kaduna Airport. Foreign airlines lost billions for shunning Kaduna Airport, and that story, it's on page 13. Okay, let's also look at other stories. We've also taken the story about the EFCC, 15 billion naira. EFCC submits report to President. That's another big story on the front page, okay? And the picture story, Youths Association of Zamfara State protesting at the State Assembly in Gusau yesterday over what they say is poor implementation of the state's budget on education, health, and youth empowerment. Now, PTDF holds undergraduate overseas scholarships on page 3, and 8 soldiers killed as insurgents invade military base. Nigerian arrested after robbing 4 U.S. banks, and that story is on page 10. Kieran.
All right, leadership newspapers, and above the name plate here, we have Zenith, Fidelity, 8 other banks, and 1.27 trillion interest on loans in 2016. And just below that, we have building a sustainable business, Dangote says, and that story is on page 6 of leadership. Now, we're still on economy. According to this publication, we have CBN sells $280 million to boost forex liquidity. The full story is on page 27. And now on the main headline, World Economics declares Nigeria out of recession. But this is a very important declaration that we may like to touch on in the course of the program. And the story is on page 5. World Economics declares Nigeria out of recession. Now, below the photograph here, that's showing the Ethiopian airline on leadership, we have a Saudi military helicopter crashes in Yemen, kills 12 people. The full text of that story is on page 10 of the leadership. Now, I wouldn't vote PDP presidential candidate in 2019, says Governor Omahi on page 14. But what do you make of this issue of declaring Nigeria out of recession?
Well, it is a London-based SMI World Economic Institution, and it has declared that Nigeria is already out of the recession. The organization produces financial analysis of world economy, and it made some observations. It says that monthly sales have picked up and risen sharply in April. It's also observed that the rate of inflation continues to moderate. You will recall that when a nation records zero negative in 2 quarters. That is when it goes in recession. And we are still waiting the report of, you recall, we are now in the first month of the second quarter. By the time we get the report of the first quarter of the year, it's possible that there will be a positive indication and officially Nigeria may be declared out of the recession.
And one of the expectations is that it also reflects, it becomes inclusive and reflects in the living condition of the people.
But again, the market prices. That is exactly what the report was saying. It's saying that the rate of inflation continues to moderate, and it will take a while before that trickling down will begin to be noticed.
All right, I'm afraid that's all we've got, although we also have authority here with us. But we get to move on with our discussion for today. We'd like to appreciate Baya Toby as usual.
Thank you.
And also looking forward to have you with us tomorrow. And that does it for Newspaper Review. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll get on with the business of the day.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
What makes a Niger mom powerful?
I encourage my kids to learn new things, and if they get hurt, I rely on the power of my Dettol's One Capful to fight germs.
My family needs protection from germs. I use the power of Dettol's One Capful to disinfect surfaces and clothes.
I trust the power of Dettol's One Capful for bathing. The power of Dettol's One Capful protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Be a powerful Niger mom with Dettol.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
We appreciate the gesture, we appreciate her love, and we know that she cares about the people of Nigeria.
She wants to touch people's life, especially the less privileged, or even people who are sick in the hospital. We remember that they have a wife of the president who is very concerned about human life and humanity in general.
All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria from the network service of the NTA. And now straight to our discussion. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, in his Easter message said he has met the expectations of Nigerians. Now, what in specific terms does that mean? We have Mr. Femi Adesina, the Special Advisor to the President, Media Publicity, right here with us in the studio to, of course, address this and other matters of national interest. Mr. Adesina, it's our pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Kieran.
Yeah, you're welcome to the program. Thank you. All right. The president, in his Easter message, said we have met the expectations of Nigeria, our Nigerians. Now, can you speak more on what the president actually meant by that statement?
Well, the two of you have also fallen into the same trap that others who had commented on this fell into. Those were not the president's words. Let me read these words. In the almost 2 years of this administration, we have worked hard to meet the expectations of Nigerians. That is different from we have met the expectations of Nigerians. We have worked hard to meet connotes work in progress.
But your own consideration, what, how would you explain what may have been met? Because it all connotes the fact that something has been done.
We have met is work concluded. We have worked hard to meet is work in progress. So it is work in progress.
So can we share with you the work in progress?
Oh, yeah. Yes, on different fronts. I'm sure you know, but we can still reiterate the successes. Of course, very glaring is the security one. We know where we were when the administration came about 2 years ago on the security front, particularly in the Northeast, not just in the Northeast, because Boko Haram was in Northeast, it was in Northwest, it was in North Central, it was in Abuja, the seat of power. It had got as far as Kogi, which means it was going into the Southwest, and from there possibly South-South, and the entire country will be overrun. But where are we today? I read a news story yesterday where people in Borno State said they had never had it so good in the past 10 years, not even the sound of a firecracker during Easter. We know that those insurgents usually picked festive periods to strike. There was one Salah that was particularly bloody when hundreds of people were killed. But you have a situation now in which life has returned to virtually all parts of the country, including the Northeast, that was the hotbed of that insurgency. So a lot has been done on security. And then economy. You have good news coming from different angles. You know what the World Bank has said about the Nigerian economy, what the IMF has said, what Bloomberg has said, and there is one world economist yesterday which went as far as saying Nigeria was out of recession.
What are Nigerians saying? You're mentioning international institutions, but what are Nigerians themselves saying?
Indices matter. Indices are very important. The indices will indicate what is going on, and then it will translate to the pockets of Nigerians because they'll begin to feel it. But it's very important that those indices give us what is happening. And what is happening is that, yes, the economy is turning. And you can see it easily from what is happening in agric. In agric, Nigeria is making giant strides to the extent that by 2018, we'll begin to export. We'll first satisfy local demand and then begin to export. So a lot has been done, security, in agric, in economy, in different spheres of our national lives.
Now, let me take you to the economy story, Claire. Now, some entrepreneurs in Nigeria actually argue that the CBN Forex policy is adversely affecting their business concerns. They lament huge sums of money being spent in alternative power, for instance, and that all of that, raises the entire cost of production, which of course the ordinary Nigerian will have to feel. Now, in that connection, what's your take with respect to the Forex policy of the CBN?
Yes, it's not going to be a magic wand that you will wave and all the problems will disappear. But as you go along trying to solve these problems, you tweak your policies as necessary. So I'm sure that Central Bank is also watching the effect of its policies, and where it needs to adjust, it will adjust.
Okay, by May 29, this administration would have clocked midterm, in the 4-year. And we do remember that after the, elections were won by this government, the former president, sent a memo to President Buhari urging him to be magnanimous, I'm quoting now, in victory, make institutional, reforms, and of course heal wounds. To what extent do you think that, those have been done?
I don't see.
Let's take them one by one.
I don't see any contrary thing that has happened in that respect. Another party won the election, and the outgoing party and government said, be magnanimous in victory. I have not seen anything to the contrary in that respect.
Institutional reforms?
Yeah, institutional reforms. You know that when this administration came in, a lot of people said he didn't hit the ground running. He didn't hit the ground running. Now, my question is, when you land, and you land on firm ground, you can start running. But when you land and you land in mud, what do? You first sink and then try to extricate yourself. That's what this administration mate. It just landed in mud, and it took some time clearing that mud till it got to firm ground.
Has it finally cleared the mud?
Yes,
are we out of the mud?
Yes, sir. We are out of it. We are on firm ground now. And that's why you can see some of the things that have begun to happen. And I can confidently say that before the mandate of this administration expires, in another 2 years, Nigeria will be on solid ground.
Just before we leave here on the developmental aspect of our conversation this morning, are you satisfied with the education sector or what is being done, to revive the education sector? Because, of course, before the emergence of this administration, we know what it was in terms of, in fact, virtually all facets of our educational sector. Now, how do you react to what has been done or what is being done presently to reverse, the trend?
I'm glad you used what is being done, because government at any time is a continuum, and we have efficient people manning that sector. And I wish it was the education minister you were asking this question. He will give you facts and statistics, but I know that in the 2 years of this administration, there have been fewer strikes. It's not that there have not been issues. There are issues, but they have been addressed. And I'm confident that they will continue to be addressed.
Now, the issue of the Chibok girls, Mr. Adeshina, it was 3 years, last week. And of course, the war against insurgency is probably, an area that government has received the greatest, accolade in terms of successes so far made. But of course, the Chibok girls remain, a subject of global attention. And the president has said that, look, we are in talks, of course, to, see what we can do about that. So could you shed more light on the nature of these talks and what efforts are being made to make the Northeast livable again? I know you've talked about it earlier on, hinted us about the Easter celebration.
Yes, you will recall that there was a statement from the president last week on the third year anniversary of the abduction of the Chibok girls. And what he said, well, he first thanked God for the return of 24 of them, 3 retrieved by the military and 21 released after negotiation with their captors. And that, he said, gives some hope that others will still return, and that the negotiation that led to the release of 23 still continue. And the president has said it before that he will bend over backwards to get back these girls. If it means paying, he will pay. If it means talking, he will talk. Whatever it will take, he will do to get the girls back. So those talks are continuing. But the nature of those talks is not something you then begin to do in the open. Naturally, there are intelligence issues.
Now, but what actually worries Nigerians most is the fact that the military has recorded success in Sambisa Forest, for instance. Many of their hideouts, have been, degraded, in fact, reduced to nothing, meaning that the war has technically been won, as has been mentioned by government in the past. And people are worried about where are these girls if they cannot be found in Sambisa Forest and in the camps where Boko Haram, operated. Now, where are they going to be? Have they actually been sold as demand boosted in the past or something? So these are the questions Nigerians are asking.
Don't forget that former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo just said it would be foolhardy to keep those girls together in a bunch, that they will have been scattered all over the place. And I suspect that may have happened. How do you log around? I think there are 195 of them still being held. How do you log around 195 girls so that each time you move, you carry them, each time you move, you carry them? It's so very easy for reconnaissance aircraft to sight them. Okay, so it's suspected that the girls are scattered, but those who are in their custody will know where they are.
But do we have any idea as to whether they are alive or not?
From the account of those that came back, majority of them are alive. But we also know that they mentioned some that died. Okay.
Okay, one last major question this morning, Mr. Additional. The hordes of cash, being uncovered by the EFCC is one of the most topical issues today, especially with the Ikoyi discovery, and the rest, of course, is history. We've known about several others that have been, recovered by the EFCC. People are also worried about the fact that what is happening to the culprits, for instance. People are not jailed and all of that. People think that, well, if you can do a plea bargain and get away from it, so more people are being encouraged. So how do you react to this?
Don't forget that the president in one previous broadcast had said that the intention of the anti-corruption war is not to shame and ridicule anybody. It is just to recover ill-gotten wealth. He said it in a former broadcast. So if anybody is caught with any amount of money, the intention is to retrieve that money first. But then there are some that will necessarily end up in court. It is not the duty of the executive to have them jailed. That's the work of the judiciary. And a good number of people are facing court trial as we speak.
Right, Mr. Femi Additional would like to thank you, but of course you will sit in with us for our main discussion, which is of course on the aviation sector, specifically the reopening of the Abuja International Airport. We'll quickly take this background report by Ngozi Chude.
From the runway to its facilities, the Abuja International Airport was a disaster waiting to happen until the federal government decided to adopt a radical approach to address the situation. This led to the closure of the airport for renovation of the 3.6-kilometer runway on the 8th of March to the 18th of April 2017. The decision, which was to last for 6 weeks, apparently stirred some emotions from different quarters, but government's resolve stemmed from the fact that the airport, which is the second busiest in the country with about 100 flights a day, had its runway design stipulated for 20 years, but however continued to be in use for 34 years. The severe condition and decay which was raised by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and by international airlines necessitated a decision before a major disaster occurs. The contract for the repairs was awarded to Julius Berger at the cost of $80 million. The fact that the airport has only one runway and the work cannot be carried out without closing it to achieve maximum output and safety made the government to provide an alternative. Consequently, all Abuja-bound flights were rerouted to the much smaller Kaduna Airport, which is around 180 kilometers north of the capital city. To allay fears of skeptics, government put in place necessary logistics for each free operations. Among these is the conveying of passengers from Abuja to Kaduna Airport for takeoff to respective destinations, adequate security measures and surveillance, including safety net for emergencies. Kaduna State Government, on its part, commenced massive reconstruction of notable roads within and outside the metropolis for easy movement, as well as upgrade of facilities that may be required to achieve the objectives. The Kaduna Airport was rebranded with modern equipment to align with international best standards and practices. 6 weeks after the closure, the construction firm handling the project has kept to the agreement as the Abuja International Airport reopens for operations, a feat that has attracted praises for the government within and outside the country.
It was world class and per the standard. It was very good.
Nothing wrong with opening it a day earlier. And here we are today. We set out to achieve that target. We achieved the target.
To many, the opposition was as a result of Nigeria not used to keeping to timelines. These notwithstanding, questions are being asked. What lessons have we learned from the process? What now for the Kaduna Airport after 6-week fame? Is it not high time to have a second runway at the Abuja Airport? These are some of the questions experts on Good Morning Nigeria will answer shortly.
All right, we'd like to thank Ngozi Chude for the background report. And we have joined us here in the studio to discuss the reopening of the Abuja International Airport. We have with us Mahmoud Sani, who is the manager, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Madam Sani, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, man. Good morning, Nigerians.
And of course, we also have here with us Simon Tumba, who is a consultant on aviation matters. Thank you very much, Mr. Atumba, for joining us.
Thank you and good morning.
Kieran.
All right. Also joining us in the studio via Skype from the United Kingdom is Mona Bankole. He is the Chief Executive Officer, Medview Airline. Thank you for being there, Mr. Bankole. And of course, we have Mr. Femi Adesina, the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, who was earlier with us to discuss the President's efforts to meet people's expectations. Once again, you're welcome, Mr. Adesina. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, I would like to appreciate your presence here, but let's quickly go live to Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Okay, we will be joining our correspondent at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport as soon as we establish contact with him. But gentlemen, let us start with Malam Sani. Of course, the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport has reopened. Is this a feat?
Madam, it's real. It's real. The airport is open 12 hours, 24 hours ahead of the scheduled time. And that is the spirit of the Nigerian spirit. It was a work well planned. We had planned for it, and there was a work schedule. So the federal government, through the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, dedicatedly pursued these plans. And that was what culminated to the reopening of the airport ahead of the scheduled time.
Yes, and again, sorry, Claire, the feat, as you rightly you pointed, you are so glad about that. Now, let's share how you were feeling before the rehabilitation began and how you feel at the moment.
Yes, as the airport manager of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, it's like the common saying that you wear the shoe. It's not how it pains you.
Okay, Madam Sani, let me pause you for a while. I'm very sorry for that, because we've just established contact with Nnamdi Azikiwe, our correspondent Ahmed Ambali at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. And of course, today is the first day of resumption of full operations. I don't know, are we getting in contact with him? Okay, let's now join Ahmed Ambali. Hello, Ahmed, what's going on?
All right, thank you very much, Claire. We're here at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, where after 6 weeks, repair works on the damaged runway has been completed. Right now, as we speak to you, we're here in front of Terminal D, and it's been a very busy morning. When we came in, we saw some of the passengers. They were lined up getting ready to carry on activities with ticketing and also to check in for their various flights. Yesterday, the very first of many flights came in. It was an Ethiopian airline aircraft that landed on the refurbished runway, signaling the commencement of activities at this airport. We've not been able to get access to the runway itself, but following up on reports as done by our correspondents, the runway is in top shape, and everything is ready and set for both local and international flights. Claire.
Ahmed, I don't know if you were able to get a view of the new runway. If you did, what can you tell us? What's your experience like? I know you've also been...
Okay, Kieran, if I get your question right, you were asking if there were other repair works that I could visibly see being carried out here at the airport. Actually, all around the airport, it's rehabilitation work being done. Some of the surroundings of the airport, just coming into the airport, you still see the construction work. It's still ongoing, and from what we've been able to glean so far, some of the areas within the airport vicinity, work is still ongoing. That will take some time. It's still part of the rehabilitation project of the airport itself. But for now,
For me, it is promise made and promise kept.
What should we be celebrating? Is it keeping to time or the actual rehabilitation?
I think everything. We should celebrate everything. We should celebrate the fact that we ventured on that project. and we achieved it. The project was properly done. It was not a shoddy work from all I've seen. And one significant thing for me is that as the project went on, Nigerians kept being updated. When it was 50% done, we were told. 60% we were told. 97% we were told. And actually from that,
you know, who's wearing the shoes, and of course you knew where it was pinching you earlier on. So what can you tell us about the work done, apart from the, you know, the runway? We also were told yesterday that there was no need for calibration at the moment. What other experience are passengers expected to feel at the airport?
Yes, when the airport was closed in view of the dilapidation of the runway, we now seized the opportunity to look at the terminal building itself,
okay,
the structure, because we believe most of us will not bother about seeing the runway, but the building and the structure. We have made provisions for the physically challenged where they will park their cars. We have dedicated some parts of the car park. So those are the things that we have done to cushion our elderly Nigerians and other airport users and the physically challenged.
All right, we shall return to the studio very shortly. But before that, we had earlier introduced Mr. Mona Bankole, the Chief Executive Officer of the Medview Airline. Thank you for being there for us, Mr. Bankole.
And everybody who has done well in putting this thing in place. So far, it's a good thing for us to appreciate what has happened now, and we have to do more. By now, we should have learned a lesson to make sure that we put the second runway in place. There is no doubt about that, because of the huge potentials of the opportunity of investment that Nigeria is putting in place.
Okay, Mr. Bankole, from what you have said, it means that you also participated in the brief operations, you know, at the Kaduna International Airport. You know, we had that some,
you know, transit issues. Did you experience any of such challenges?
Thank you very much. You know the logistics that was put in place, moving passengers from Kaduna to Abuja. You know very well it wasn't an easy task. But if you look at everything that was put in place to support the passengers' comfort, I think it was commendable. The issue here is to thank God and to appreciate all our customers, irrespective of the challenges, those who were able to meet the challenges at that time. I repeat that we need to appreciate one thing in.
And there's a lot of hue and cry in the National Assembly. Some were even saying that kind of money would build Terminal 5 in Heathrow, which is laughable, really. Runway building is not a tea party. You know, from the threshold where the aircraft is landing, you know, the weight of an aircraft is a lot of it's thousands of tons. You are talking of the passengers, you are talking of the aircraft itself, you are talking of the cargo in the aircraft, and immediately it's the impact of that landing. You know, you need to build a lot of concrete. I believe it's about 10 meters down. I'm not a civil engineer, but I'm told that it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of investment in terms of cement, in terms of asphalt, in whatever terms. And then the length of run.
Nigerians, of course, you know, reacting to the reopening of the Abuja International Airport. And don't forget, of course, and our Twitter handle is right there on the screen at NTA GMN. Let's quickly start off with a tweet on earlier discussion with Mr. Femi Additional. And Engineer Abdullahi, right, tweets, this is promised fulfilled. More work done according to schedules. I think the Nigeria's business should be as Abuja Airport is done.
Well, actually, the first tweet came from Innocent Jao James. He says, Mr. President has achieved far above average of what we clamored for. Please, we'll still need more of security and prosecution of corrupt people.
All right, and I have another one from Festus Akin Boyewa. Buhari government is working hard to solve Nigeria's problems created by years of waste. But Mr. Adesina should not confuse us with grammar.
And all right, Anebo Chukwebuka says, let our president be more accessible to the Nigerian people.
But I think we have one more change to progress. PMB statement is a work in progress. A work in progress fact, and this is obvious, but government can't coin deadlines for news media. Well done for the efforts so far.
All right, Mr. Adesina, would you like to react to some of the tweets?
Yes, let me, yesterday the president issued a statement on the reopening of the airport, and he commended all the stakeholders, Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Julius Berger, the contractor, every stakeholder, security, everyone. And there is this paragraph. The president...
It's even woman's drugs. Charlatans peddle drugs on the streets as if it is pure water. Why?
I was not new.
Enterprise is for money, not assured and quality service. Why? My dear sweet professor, am I trying to you so? Oh, yes. Episode 10, Season 3 of your rib-cracking comedy. Professor John Bull takes a swipe at the scourge of substandard goods in our society.
Fake suppliers of products must be brought to justice before they create a calamitous atrocity in our community.
Keep a date with us and laugh like never before.
Electric bomb!
Showing at 8:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Friday on NTA Network International and Star Times.
Over.
Of all courses will take place at NTA Television College, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, contact us on 0806 980 9807 0703 660 7155 or email us at ntacollege@gmail.com. NTA Television College, Jos, training you to be the best you can be.
Right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we're discussing the reopening of the Abuja International.
This one we carry about 36,700 approximately. But with the railway, I went to a railway station. Statistics is very difficult, but they gave me just some guessing game. So at the end of the day, we do some permutation and computation, and we end up with about 36,700. Runway with Lagos, but because it was the seat of power, not because it's a commercial center. That's why we're saying here in Abuja, they were trying to say, no, what is the level of traffic to enhance second runway? We say, no, it's just in the center of it. It is a political capital. Imagine you close one runway, all the head of government came into Nigeria. That runway is closed. Very embarrassment. Very embarrassing. Where can you go? So that's why we say the second runway in the master plan must go to play. Like during the restructuring, the repair, I always say, let the construction of the second runway go concurrently with the resurfacing of the runway. They haven't done that. You know, we should have saved time and saved money. Because I know the budget, what we have in the Senate, it was about 75 billion, which was cut down to 65 billion. That was 2010. Now, can you afford it?
Did you experience, challenges of insecurity, logistics, and capacity while the movement was on? If you're ferrying a number of over 3,000, return flights and over almost 200,000 passengers.
Yes. So the idea was that we were very glad. We had a meeting with all the security agencies. In fact, the IGs, they were in my office, and the comptroller immigration, they did very well. It's the most secured road now in place in Nigeria, Kaduna, Abuja, the most secured road. 24 hours. 24 hours you see that SSA, whatever you call it, security agent, you can drive 24 hours now. Kaduna, Abuja, the most secured road you ever have. So there's no problem in that. So that's why we say it's very nice.
Now, as from today, your correspondent was in front of Terminal D. From there, passengers will board from there.
Okay.
From Terminal D.
From Terminal D.
Yes. That reduces the pressure on Terminal B. Do you understand?
Okay.
So, and that place too, there is a lift and escalator being installed. That is another good thing that happens to the airport to make it passenger friendly. Then on the second runway, well, he was talking of 2010 as at then. But the idea now, this period was to rehabilitate Abuja Airport. Government, through the Minister of State Aviation, Senator Sadi Sirika, has made appropriate explanation towards the second runway in Abuja Airport, which government finds very necessary that it should come as soon as possible.
How will what has happened, and that's a question I also like Mr. Munir Bankole to also take, if he's listening, how will, what has happened right now in the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport improve safety? Because safety is top priority in aviation.
Even before now, Abuja Airport is secured. Our fence is 100% covered, and we have all complements of other security agencies in the airport, and the synergy is intact. So we wish to assure all our intending passengers that Abuja Airport safety is guaranteed.
All right, let's...
In terms of human capital, we have the market, and we have a thriving traveling public. So all we need to do is to have a plan that the investment industry can buy into, that is those who are willing to invest, and then we can get concessionaires. Don't forget, Nigerian owns Gatwick in London. He owns London City Airport. He's an advisor to President Trump. He's a Nigerian. Can we tap into his knowledge? Can we tap into what he thinks? We can do these things. We should not be excited. Yes, it's an achievement, but we have the potential to do more than what we are seeing now. I'm looking forward to that day.
Captain George, I'd like you to comment from what he has posited, because we've all traveled around the world and see what airports look like, what it should be. From what he's saying, it is possible for us to graduate to that level so that we can begin to make money, because aviation is big business.
You see, the last statistics given by the Governor of Central Bank.
Madam Georgie, let me pause you for a while. Our correspondent is right there at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Ahmed Mbali. Earlier on, of course, we joined you right there. Have you been able to get onto the runway now?
Much studio. We're here on the tarmac of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, where one of the aircraft, it's a Medview. Let's take you away from your position as a spokesman and talk as a passenger now. Yes. You said it's a big relief not having to travel to Kaduna. Yes. Now, other airports across the country, what sort of arrangements, what sort of things should we be doing to upgrade them, sir?
I think the most important lesson that this has taught us is that we have to respect maintenance procedures, because if we had stuck to the maintenance regime for this particular runway, we wouldn't need to shut it down the way we did completely. So, and all the hazards and the experiences, yeah, it has been managed relatively very well, for the 6 weeks that it lasted. But of course, it's a big relief, but it's not something that should be happening. Because if we keep maintaining, then there will be no need for us to start shutting down systems. I don't even want to imagine the enormity of resources that will have been lost, to this 6 weeks closure in businesses, in commuting, people who work here at the airport and all that. So it's not something that we should allow to be happening.
All right, thank you very much for your time. We hope to be speaking to you some other time, sir. Thank you. So that's how it's been here at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. We'll be keeping you updated. It's the commencement of flights after the 6 weeks closure of the runway for repairs, and that's the situation as it is for now. It's back to you in the studio.
All right, many thanks to you, Ahmed Mbali, joining us live from the Nnamdi Azikiwe.
Need to bring money from outside. Remember, the last statistic given by the Governor of Central Bank last year, I said the domiciliary account alone, Nigerians have about $30 billion in domiciliary account, whereas our foreign reserve was about 38 billion, only 8 billion. It means that Nigerians alone can bring the money for the development of this country. We don't need money from outside. You can see what's going on anyway. Money here, money there, and so on and so forth. So as far as I'm concerned, the investment, if Nigerians would be allowed like a window of opportunity. Turn your eyes the other way, bring the money inside. That can work a lot. So from that analysis, I always say I think there will be what you call a cohesion between those with money bags, and the government itself. Don't scare them. Talk to them. Bring the money out. Then later on, of course, the economy had been, I don't want to use the colloquial language, bastardized, but I always say, like the lecture I gave, I say, I feel sorry for any leader that lead Nigeria, because you have 37 states, including Abuja, 774 local government, 8,800 wards. No human being on earth is capable of controlling that. You need disciples. So if the disciples around you are not up to scratch, then you will never make it. So as far as we're concerned, that we have the capacity, but unfortunately, the people around, they are selfish, complacent, arrogant. Unless
a sustainable plan that any investor will come and know that, well, this is going to happen in 20, 30, 40 years. We can never grow with this short-term plan. Aviation is long-term business. The margins are thin, especially airline business. We can never go like this. We need a plan that I want to believe the political class will buy into, so that whichever party comes into power, that plan is sustainable.
But what kind of plan are you talking about? We have airports in the country at the moment. Should we go into rehabilitation or general reconstruction of these airports?
We don't have the airports my dream has for Nigeria. We don't have them. See, as I was saying yesterday, Qatar is a country of about 2 million people. Most of the people that travel on Qatar Airways or go to Doha don't enter Qatar. To get their visa is a tough call. But Qatar Doha is a transit hub. It attracts over 30 million passengers a year. Kenya has built an airport. Ethiopia has built an airport. Rwanda has built an airport. Much more than we ever have here in this country. What are we doing? We have a country of 170 million people. Most of them travel. Most of the foreign airlines we have here, Nigerians travel on premium class, business, first class. Sometimes airlines will tell you first class is overbooked. You don't have, in some of you can have first class. Most of these countries in South Africa, those that fly first class are foreigners. They can't afford it. And they attract.
This is Michael Omakojo. He says, kudos. However, what are the lessons we are taking away from the repairs of the runway? We've just talked about that.
Yes, okay. And from Nuzirat at Toyebi, can this runway feat be replicated on the terribly bad federal routes across the country?
All right. And Festus Akimboyewa tweets, we must learn from having to close Abuja Airport for reconstruction. We must never allow the runways in our major airports to decay.
Also from Festus, the foreign airlines and those who condemned Kaduna Airport should hang their heads in shame. Nigeria is on the move.
And Farouk Strait, it is good we deliver at the stipulated time, but it will be excellent if another runway is put up to avoid this experience. And those are the tweets. We really appreciate all of you that have, of course, participated in this program. But a closing thought from Captain Joji.
Yes, Nigeria has a great potential for air travel. The last World in figures in January, it said we have 191,835,936 people in Nigeria, averaging 18 years. Now, if you look at it, they say in the year 2050, we're going to be 400 million. We're going to be number 3 in the world population table after India and China. India will overtake China. What are we doing to achieve all this? What plan are we making? Because the last Nigeria was planned.
We learned. That's the government learned.
Government now has learned that in a country where individuals are richer than the government, those individuals control the economy and direct policy unless and until those individuals are dealt with positively. Otherwise, we will never make any road. The government should wake up and make sure they take full responsibility and make sure those people that are trying to make us slaves to other people are brought to books. And I'm glad that they have started doing that at the moment.
Captain Mohammed Joji, Chairman Committee on Movement to Kaduna Airport, we sincerely want to appreciate your presence here and your contributions.
Thank you. And I forget one thing about the railways. The railways has to be enhanced, because how can you hold only about 3 coaches? I mean, that's all you have, for God's sake. What a shame. You know, I worked with the railways in 1960.
So we should have time for all that, because you actually very clear.
All right. Of course, Mahmoud Sani is the manager Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. We'd like to appreciate him as well. Thank you very much for your optimism and your support.